Is there something about females that you wanted to know but could never figure out? Are you struggling with relationships? Do you feel like you're being taken advantage of by the women in your life? Do you want to know how to leverage the playing field to your favor? Well, did you know that the female mind and the female psyche are mysterious and unexplored regions like the dark web of the internet? For this reason, men need a method of decrypting or hacking the manipulative psyche or dark web of the female mind. Once a man has a deep understanding of true female nature, he will then be able to hack her programming.
Access granted.
The purpose of this book is to help grown males evolve into men so that they can treat the women in their lives accordingly.
You win.
Even if she cook, you always must maintain authority over her.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Even with the little thing, because in our subconscious mind, in our mind, we see you as being dominator. You telling me what to do. Like let me give you a quick story. Like, for instance, I went to the gas station today. You know, they say gas was like leaving and shit. So I want to make sure my truck stayed full because I drive a G-Wagon, okay? And
okay,
gas,
I see you.
You know, I gotta keep my shit, filled to the rim. So this guy, he took over 3 pumps. He took over 2 pumps. He backed the truck all the way because he noticed me pulling in. So what he did was he backed up 2 pumps. So I'm looking at it like, how am I supposed to get the last pump? How am I supposed to get the last pump and pull up when you take 2? What he did was he got his truck and he said, come up, you can do it, come up. This dude was dominating me without me even fucking doing it. I'm telling you some
giving
real
you
shit.
Instructions, directing you.
Exactly.
And
then I'm pulling up. Instead of me saying, can you move your truck up?
Right, you're following directions.
Exactly.
Wow.
My mind automatically pulling up solely because guess what? I'm about to drop a gem on y'all. In that moment, that instant, I trusted him. Because at the end of the day, I'm a woman and I kneel to authority. I'm a woman at the end of the day. So even when that's taking place in that very moment, I'm not fast enough to think that quick, to say, you know what? Nah, I'm good.
Right.
Nah, I'm good. I'm a woman, so I'm following him. I'm trusting him.
You follow that masculine
lead.
energy.
Exactly. Yes. And then when it comes to, I'm like, hell nah. Like, this dude straight up dominated me. Like he straight up dominated me. You know what I mean?
Y'all played y'all roles.
I kind of had to smile to myself because I'm like, this dude. And for some people, they might say, nah, China, like you overthinking it. No, I'm a woman.
No,
I know exactly
right.
I know exactly what he's doing because when I got the car, the energy that he was throwing at me, I actually received it because he's standing there in front of me and he's trying to dominate me. I ain't gonna go on and on with that story because it is what it is. What happened next, the chopper we had.
let me piggyback on what you just said as far as like dominance and dominating. The reason why a lot of males nowadays aren't able to dominate the women that they deal with is because they're not even able to dominate their own lives. You understand? They wake up in the morning and they're following somebody else and they're being controlled by outside forces. Like I control me. Now, as of right now, I still have a 9-to-5. So aside from me going to my 9-to-5 and I'm slowly transitioning out of it, that's a whole other story, but I'm definitely transitioning out of my 9-to-5. But aside from my 9-to-5, when I'm clocking and clock out, aside from that time, nobody controls me. I control and dominate everything in my life. And I don't mean dominant like on some violent shit, like, like you do this or I'll whoop your ass. Nah, it ain't like that. You know what I mean? It's depending. When I say dominant, it's not just women. I dominate my life. You understand? And I control everything in my life. And a lot of guys need to learn how to do that. Control the things that you have in your life. Again, and not even again, but understand you can't control everything in your life. What's the saying go? Lord, give me the strength to deal with the things that I can't control. That's the truth. Control and deal with the things you can control and deal with. And I pray for the strength and endurance in order to deal with the things that you can't control. But a lot of guys can't control the amount of time they spend watching TV. A lot of guys can't control the amount of times they beat their meat. Like, that's new to me. Like, I'm not a dude that be doing that. So when I heard like dudes be doing that shit like 3, 4, 5 times a day, that blew my mind. That shows me a lack of discipline. That shows me a lack of self-discipline. But discipline is another thing that males are lacking nowadays. What is discipline? For lack of a better term, or the lamest definition of discipline, is basically holding yourself accountable to certain guidelines, morals, whatever the case may be. And the most important part of the definition of discipline is when you don't follow these guidelines, these rules, whatever the case may be, there are consequences. So that means you need to punish yourself. Most guys, most people don't know how to discipline themselves. For example, let's say I say I'm gonna do only 1 hour of social media, and I go over. All right, damn. Every minute I go over, I gotta do 20 push-ups. A lot of guys might go over and be like, "Man, fuck that, man. I ain't doing them 20 push-ups, man. I'm just not gonna do it again." Nah, you gotta hold yourself accountable, because if you can't hold yourself accountable to your own rules, how can you hold somebody else? How can you hold a child, aka a woman, to those same rules? So if you're not dominating yourself, you don't have your own rules, you don't have boundaries, something that women look for in a man's life. If you don't have these things to begin with, why are you even pursuing a woman? You need to start pursuing the best version of yourself first.
And let me say something in that. Women, we appreciate that. We appreciate that you dominate us in the way you dominate us. A lot of men, that's like, I always use like on my art of submission when I'm talking to women. I always tell a women, you should have a strong foundation. What is the foundation that you stand on? What have you seen that was order in your life? A lot of women have broken foundations, and when men deal with them, a lot of women don't even understand why they have the broken foundation. What I tell women, whatever foundation that was strong, either was your teacher, either was your neighbor, either was whatever it is, you stand on that. And in that you find order, right? And whatever foundation you ever seen growing up, it could be your neighbors having a relationship with the man next door. As long as she seen a man having authority over a woman, she must stand on that. You can even tell a woman that you're dealing with. You can even teach her how to actually understand who she is by talking to her, so she can know herself more than she know her fucking self. You know her more than she know herself. That's actually game right there, because what you're actually doing is telling her how to lean on something that's a strong foundation, and always use a man dominating a woman, so she can see that as strength. That's strength, and that's something a woman should be chasing, which is you. You're that foundation, because you the man that's actually gonna be teaching her shit, talking to her, and that's how you get exactly what you want from a bitch. Because once you get to the point that you start dominating her, she start paying attention and listening to you. See, if a woman have a broken foundation, all you doing is using whatever positive image she had in her life as a man, whatever that image is. She could have had a favorite cartoon, and that cartoon was a dominating cartoon character. You can even use that, as long as that man was masculine and dominating whatever was around him. You know what I mean? So
let me break it down though. Go ahead, finish your point. Go ahead.
Real quick. So when we talk about dominating, even when it comes to a woman cooking, like my grandfather, my mother, even though my mama cooked, they cook what he liked. Anything that, so if she go to the store and they had a drink, she gonna drive 20 miles to make sure she get that Sprite, or to make sure she get that shake, or to make sure she go to GNC and get that powder shake you like, or whatever whatever you use to go to the gym. She gonna go that extra mile for you, because you already dominating her. and she know that if she don't have it and you don't like it, it's gonna be a problem. Nah, you ain't gonna hit her. Nah, you ain't gonna talk crazy to her. You just gonna fall back from my ass.
Take your attention away
until she get her mind right.
Yeah.
Until she get her shit straight when it comes to you, because you are the one dominating her. Little shit like that, and you don't have to say much, but it falls into our subconscious mind because you already told us, you already expressed us what we need to do. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What's good? I got my brother joining the panel. Alfie.
Absolutely. Oh, Alfie, what it do, man? King Alfie, what it up? What up? What up? Yo, real quick, Alfie, let me get this point out real quick. Just piggybacking on what China White just said. See, China, the problem that I agree with everything that you just said, but for me being out in the community, you know what I'm saying, I used to, be an educator or work as a teacher, work as a tutor, in-home tutoring, all that. So I've been in people's homes. I literally been in the projects, you know what I'm saying, in different cities. And the thing is, like I said, I'm 40. I'm not going to 40. I'm about to be 40 in 2 months. And I kind of thought that, maybe most, if not, half the males in America grew up somewhat similar to me, or if like at least a third of the males grew up similar to me, meaning, decent home, 2-parent home. This is what I was thinking back in the day, about 15, 20 years ago. 2-parent home, decent education, decent neighborhood. Of course, there's some people who grew up in the hood, single parent, but I didn't think that was, a majority. Once I went amongst the people, I should say our people, I started realizing what's really going on. And the reason I believe everything that you said about, what men need to, the examples that men need to see, examples that women need to see. What I realize is that these young males and young females who were born, let's say 95 and later, they don't have the same examples that we have, or similar examples that we have. Like for me, for example, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like we had enough male figures, masculine male figures on movies, TV shows that I could pick up on, like a Arnold Schwarzenegger on his action movies, like a Tom Selleck, just being around a bunch of women, driving fast cars and all that. Or like a Bill Cosby, or I should say, like a Bill Cosby, or what's his name, Mr. Huxtable. He was a doctor, married to a lawyer, and that goes back to my example of what I believe a wife is, or my first example, besides my mother and the women in my family, outside of the Haitian culture, the first woman that I saw as a wife was Claire Huxtable. She had children, a husband, a career, and she made it all work. So I say all that to say, nowadays, the examples that they see now is Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, J-Lo, who been married to like 3 different dudes, but they got like 5 different baby daddies, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I say all that to say, like, the generation nowadays don't have a visual example. Another thing that I realized was, even with my ex-girlfriend, the first time a lot of these women live in the same household with a man is when they move in with their boyfriend. So the reason why that's important to know is because living with a man is not the same as living with a woman. For example, a man may come home from work and may need 15, 20, 30, an hour, minute, or hour of silence before he can engage and talk about what happened in her day and talk about the bills and all that. Women may not be able to understand that, like, oh, you've been at work all day, how come you're not talking to me about, like, you got to understand. So I say all that to say, China, I agree with everything you said, but the problem is a lot of these young males and young females do not have any visual examples to see. And the visual examples that they do see are ratchet. Back even with the dudes. Dudes are growing up in female-dominated homes. So even if there is a male there, I'm talking about the black community, even if there's a male there, the woman is dominating him. So males are going around throwing temper tantrums, not being able to control their emotions, and thinking that is what a man is. And the last thing I say is, back to the women not growing up with a man, it always baffles me that a woman who did not grow up with her father, had no men in the house, no brothers, nothing like that, but will tell someone like me and argue with me what a man is, where I am a man telling her what a man is, but yet she's still willing to argue, man. So it's a bunch of problems in our community. But the first thing, but I think the greatest solution or the best solution to fixing these problems is getting the black man's mind right.
Is there something about females that you wanted to know but could never figure out? Are you struggling with relationships? Do you feel like you're being taken advantage of by the women in your life? Do you want to know how to leverage the playing field to your favor? Well, did you know that the female mind and the female psyche are mysterious and unexplored regions like the dark web of the internet? For this reason, men need a method of decrypting or hacking the manipulative psyche or dark web of the female mind. Once a man has a deep understanding of true female nature, he will then be able to hack her programming.
Access granted.
The purpose of this book is to help grown males evolve into men so that they can treat the women in their lives accordingly.
You win.